Hi, Team Flyer, and welcome once again here to Motivational Mondays. We have our beautiful Cassandra, who has been on our show before, not only for Motivational Mondays, but for her Go to Fly story, which is freaking inspiring. So definitely go check those out. But meanwhile, here we are with another Motivational Monday, whenever it is that you're listening to this, to keep the world motivated, because that's exactly what we need. Hello, Cassandra.
Good morning, Ariadna. How are you doing today?
Doing good, doing like we said before, we talked really briefly before, recording, like doing as good as one can be through these times.
Yes, there's definitely a lot going on in the world. And so that's why I'm so excited to just bring this little piece of Motivational Monday so we can find inner strength within ourselves to try to be better and be positive and like move forward, especially in these times and just all the time, really.
Exactly, just all the time, just in general. I feel like not only through here, through the Always Believer community, of course, but anything that we do, it's like we're a huge community. We're all one, and being motivated, stay motivated, being disciplined and staying disciplined is not an easy task. I love cheering people on 110% of the time. However, cheering my own self on, sometimes I get a little bit like misguided or lost, because it's so easy to not go back into like the old ways of like laziness. Not that I was ever lazy. I feel like that's a word that does not include in my vocabulary, because I'm usually go, go, go. However, it is difficult to kind of maintain and upkeep anything from like a exercise routine to a business, of course, but it's consistency. So definitely with these Motivational Mondays, with everything that's happening in the world, we're giving a little light, like you said.
Yeah, and I mean, 20 minutes a day just doing some inner reflection can go a long way, and maybe it can help you throughout the week and moving forward. Who knows? Like, please comment, let us know what you're thinking, give us some ideas. We're always looking for good quotes that we can use as our main for each one we have a quote. And so, yeah, please collaborate with us. We just want to have a really positive conversation. That's why we're here.
Completely agree with that statement. So let's go and dive into today's quote. What's today's quote, my darling?
Well, today's quote is, "The question isn't who is going to let me, it is who is going to stop me," by Ayn Rand. And I quote extremely important because I do feel like throughout my life I have been told more often than not, "Oh, come on, like, what are you trying to do? Why are you applying for this?" Or, "You're not qualified, you can't do this." And I felt this way whenever I decided that I was going to join the military. There was a lot of pushback from the people in my small town, basically telling me that I was not fit enough, I was not mentally tough, and all of these things. And honestly, who is to tell me that except for me? And I think it's an important reminder that we always have to look within ourselves for the strength and not from our friends and family and all of the people who champion us, but also give us realities. I mean, sometimes you just gotta go for it, whether it's a reality or not, because you don't know what will happen unless you do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, take a bet on yourself. I feel like that's definitely the take from that sentence, or that quote, better said, to always bet on yourself, because who else is going to motivate you? Who else is going to bet on you than yourself? And this goes for, like, once again, anything like self-love, even like like you were saying earlier today, like those 20 minutes of just like reflection. So even if you're a super busy mom and you're like, oh my God, I have a kid, or have two kids or whatever, like take that time for yourself, because who's going to stop you? You're like, oh my God, my kid. I'm like, yeah, but then if you don't take care of yourself first, then everything else kind of falls apart. And that's, I think, one of the main essences, not really the right word, but still, of the quote itself. Because much like you, when you were doing the whole military, we were like, oh my God, me starting a business, me moving to different continents at a very young age, like, oh, and I've come from a broken childhood, from a broken home. I've I've hit rock bottom so many different times and ways and shapes and form to go to where I am today. It's like, well, consistency and discipline, as we said before, but definitely that, like, you know what, I'm going to do it for myself. You know what, I'm going to do this because this is what's going to make me happy.
Yeah, definitely. I have two more stories that both involve the military, go figure. But one of those stories is that I was in boot camp at the time, and there was a corpsman there, which is the medical. So it was a E4, which is like a third class girl that does the medical. So whenever we do all these really crazy physical evolutions, they always have someone from the medical staff there watching you to make sure, obviously, that you're not collapsing and trying to keep going, because trust me, we all were pretty much. And there's a really hectic day during the training, and it's called Wake Up Wednesday. And it's when you start at like 3 in the morning and you go until about 10 p.m., just like physical, physical, physical all day, every day. And let me tell you, I mean, I was dying. Like, I was about to roll down the hill and just stay at the bottom at one point. We were linking arms and doing like leg squats the entire way across the field, so that way the instructors could see who was the weakest of the link, because you had to, if you didn't squat and get back up, like, then you were being dragged on the ground essentially by your peers. And yeah, it was really hard. But I think like maybe the physical strength is never going to be my go-to, but mentally I considered myself somehow very strong, and there was no way that I was going to say the three letters, which is DOR. Like, when you say I DOR, that means you drop on request, and then you're out of there. But I was never even close to doing that. Fast forward, this is after the training. I'm on my first ship out of Norfolk. That corpsman got assigned to my ship. So she showed up like within 6 months. And when she saw me, she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you made it through that training." She was like, "We took bets on you the first day we saw you struggling up the hill with a 20-pound pack." And yeah, and I laughed, but like, I actually thought, well, I knew I was going to make it through that training. I mean, yeah, it's a struggle, and yeah, I probably look terrible doing it, but there was never like a doubt in my mind. So, and it was all in good fun. I was not mad, but I was just like, well, actually, it's not up to you to decide what I do in my life and how I succeed. So,
I love the end statement. It's not up to you, okay? Oh gosh, your stories. I love how you said that you might not be physically 100% strong, even though I pretty think you are, definitely, but you're mentally strong, or you're mentally there with, like, there's no stopping you. I mean, I'm gonna take actually the same spin on that. I'm definitely mentally. I don't think physically, to be honest, sadly, but we'll get there one day. But mentally, yes, because I guess one of my stories, I guess the first one that popped up, or one of the many first ones, was probably when I was a foster mom. I was a very young foster mom. I had a newborn. She was 3 days old. So I went from having like a 1 year old, a 2 year old, usually like that. I know. Sorry, I'm laughing because Cassandra's face just literally just dropped. But I had the same reaction when you were telling me your story, though. But still, I originally had 1 year olds and 2 year olds and 3 year olds toddler, usually those toddler areas. Excuse my vocabulary of today. I'm still not all together there just yet. Um, but yeah, all of a sudden we had this little 3 day old abandoned with a really horrible story, which we're not going to get into. And I'm like, just give her to me and then we'll figure it out, you know? And it's one of those things at this point. I must also say I was studying, I was working, plus I had a 3 year old and a 3 day old. They took the 3 year old away in a good way. Kind of, they're like, okay, let's let's make sure you focus on the baby first. So we kind of did a little switcheroo, and then all the kids I've not paired, sorry, fostered, also wasn't a pair. That's why fostered. They all went to really good homes, thankfully. But the challenge was, they're like, there I was. I was young. I was 20. I don't know, 23, 24, and all I really wanted was to make sure this little baby girl felt loved and taken care of and neutered and safe and all the sorts of things. that come from like, oh my God, you're just a new creature in this world. You have no idea what's happening here. Let's like find a way to help. So mentally, I mean, physically, yeah, it was very tiring. It was kind of like your versions of Wake Up Wednesdays. Anyone who's ever dealt with a newborn knows how little they sleep, especially if you're studying and working at the same time or doing a million other things. I always give props to like single moms, like and parents just in general, of course. So mentally, there, like for me, my main goal ideally was to keep her safe. She stayed with me for she was about 18 months, so a year and a half, and definitely went off to a really good home. And after that, I actually had to like go back to school full time. I did like also 3 jobs at the same time, putting myself through school. So that was the second part of that story. But before I continue mine, I think you also had another one to share as well.
Well, yeah, so this one is not about physical strength, but fast forward even a couple more years, and I was in Italy, and this is when a new program became available, which was called the Foreign Area Officer Program, and that is something that naval officers can apply for, and it was a program that you could not get into the military directly into that program, so you had to be a different type of officer, and then you have to lateral transfer into that program. And it's very competitive. It's very small community. They only take maybe 20 people every cycle, which is twice a year, but even still, like that, those numbers have been dwindling over the past couple years. And at the time that when I was stationed in Italy, they were only allowing people who had been in 8 years to apply. And so I really wanted to apply for the program, but I had only been in 5 years. And that same year, they came back and said, oh, they're actually going to allow a 5-year waiver if you get basically an endorsement from a high ranking officer that would endorse you to put in your package. And so I knew people the year before that had applied, and no one I knew got picked up. And everyone was kind of like, well, that's just for the really high level, ambassador types, like not us. And I said, well, I think I'm going to look into it. And someone in my office had applied for the year before, and he didn't get picked up. And he kind of was that demon on the right side of my shoulder going, no, 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 no. Like, you think you're going to get picked up? Like, you don't stand a chance. And one of those things was, there's a lot of high ranking people at the command I was at. And I decided to petition to an admiral, which is the highest ranking naval officer, to get him to sign the endorsement. And everyone was kind of like, yeah, but admirals don't normally do that if they don't know you. And I was like, well, who knows? Like, who is saying this? Who knows this? If you don't know him and you didn't ask him, how do you know these things? And so I had another guy go in and talk to the admiral. And I just decided to go over there one day really early in the morning because I was on watch. And so at 5:30, I was over at his office, and his aide had not even arrived yet. And I was standing there at the door, and he said, are you looking for me? And I was like, yeah. And it just was this random moment in time where it was really early in the morning. No one else was in the office. And he invited me in, and he talked to me for 5 minutes, and he said he would endorse my letter. Just from me standing there at 5:30 in the morning. It's like, that takes motivation to stand here like while I'm coming into the office. So in the end, I did get picked up on that cycle. And wouldn't you know, almost every person who said, oh my gosh, like, you don't stand a chance, don't apply, like, we're not applying, that's crazy. They call, like, the message comes out to the public for the military so everyone can see it. They were calling me that morning asking me for a copy of my package, which I was like, suckers. Like, I maybe gave it to 3 people, but you don't get to tell me that I'm not capable. And then whenever I do, it's the same parable of when you stand at the bottom with the poor people, no one cares about you. But when you get on the podium, everyone wants a piece.
Exactly. Oh my God, so spot on. Oh my God. That's why I knew I were gonna give another shout out to Tom. For everyone who wants to find out who Tom is, go
He's gonna
to.
get a shout out every single time.
I swear, I'm so happy he connected us. Once again, for everyone who wants to find out who Tom is, you have to listen to her story or go to Fly episode, because we talked quite a lot about him, and we give a million shout outs, because I'm so happy and I'm so inspired when I meet people like you. And I do love that he put us together, because he sees those same qualities, even though we've had completely different lives, because I have no clue about the military, of course. But just hearing you, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so, oh my God. Like, I don't know, just, you leave me without words every single time you share a story. Um, I love what you said, basically, of course, like, who are you to tell me otherwise, essentially? And that's definitely the essence of the quote. The short last story that I can say, for example, that I was more or less saying, was after being a foster mom, I was very lost in life in general. I dropped out of high school. Once again, just like all these little stories. If you want to know more about them, there's definitely more podcasts. Let me know, and then I can just like tell you. And there's like YouTube videos and whatnot. But all that aside, so I figured at some point of my life, like, I'm going to go after what makes me happy. Now, what was that? We didn't really know, but I had to go figure it out, basically, career wise. I did study to be a teacher at the end of the day and whatnot. I have a little experience with psychology and whatnot, but my thing was, I wanted to start my business. I wanted to like be an entrepreneur. I wanted to make sure I knew marketing even more so. So roughly around that time of my life, 25, 26, more or less, I decided to go back to school. I finished high school and I went to college. And the only way I could do this was actually and I lived in Spain for many, many years. And usually when you appear outside this country that you're living in. But for me, the only way to get out of not conversation, I was going to say, that area of my life, I had to not only move cities, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to do as well, find that motivation and find a way to get it done. So I became an au pair, which is the weirdest thing ever, in the sense of, once again, usually travel to a different country. And I worked as an au pair. I worked teaching classes, English classes in Spain specifically. I taught yoga. I taught like a bunch of stuff. And then I studied a degree, sorry, in English. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of that lines up, not the same extreme by any means. So both stories are really different, of course, but it's that mentally there, like, who's going to stop me? Like, yeah, I may be 20 something and I may not I have to like do my high school, I have to do like all these sorts of things all over again, but I'm going to get it done. And it was difficult. It was tough. It was about 3-4 years of my life that whoever was with me, in this particular case, friends and my now husband, knew that I was sleeping on 2-3 hours. I had like a morning job. I had to wake up like at 5 every day. I had to get into like my work at 5:30. I had school from like can't remember anymore, but 7:30 to like 2:30, and then my job was at 3, and all this is in a big city called Barcelona, so I was buzzing from one place to another. I would finish my job at 10-11 o'clock at night, study, try to sleep, all these sorts of things to make sure that I paid for my college. And that's where I got to where I am today as well. It's like a big part of the story. So it's who's going to stop me? I mean, if you're really determined to do something, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what kind of experience you are, I mean, you have or you want to have, just go for it and do it and make that change for you, specifically for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, especially because the people who are the most motivated are the ones who slug through the shit and the bottom, because how do you make it to a point in your life where you find satisfaction and positivity other than if you are physically and mentally challenged on a regular basis, and you just keep attacking and moving forward and basically making decisions that are maybe out of the norm. That's why, like, moving forward, to put this into practice, if there's something in your life that you're just questioning, and maybe your friends and your family and the people around you are kind of questioning it as well, I think you really need to take a deep look within inside yourself and say, is this something that's really important to me? Do I need to go do it? And if the answer is yes, then you just need to go do it. Don't ask for advice, just do. I wouldn't have driven to South America based on what everyone was saying to me prior to my departure. And I definitely take I take everyone's concerns, but at the end of the day, I do the inner thing, which is look within and do based on what my heart tells me to.
And with that, I really have nothing much more to add, of course, because it's true. I mean, just take deep breaths, find out what you want to do, and there's nothing too crazy in the world, believe me. Anything from driving to America or having your degree at 27 or at 45, doesn't matter. Kids and all,
No,
no kids,
85.
there's no
85 is
age
not
limit to
old enough.
anything. Ideally, yeah, exactly 85. Um, it's kind of like that show Community, actually. If we're talking about college, there's really no age of like wanting
Oh,
to learn
yeah.
specifically, And we do agree with the exact same thing, of course. Just comment down below. We'll first reflect on that, but comment down below either new quotes that you guys want us to talk about a little bit more, but also like let us know when was the last time you took a chance on yourself, like when, or like what are you going to take a chance on for yourself, like, oh, I'm going to learn how to play guitar, and there you go. Like, even if they tell you, oh my god, you can't do it, it start small, start big, just go, essentially.
Yeah.
um and definitely, before we wrap up, can you please tell us one more time the quote?
Yes. The quote is, the question isn't who is going to let me, it is who is going to stop me, by Ayn Rand.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much, Cassandra querida, for sharing a little bit of your motivation with us here at The Always Believer. It's so appreciative. I'm super thankful to have you, and I love talking to you. And I know definitely through the comments, and people are always very happy to have you on board. Of course, I mean, come on, who wouldn't?
Thank you so much, Ariadna. It's
Yeah,
great talking. I can't wait to meet with you for next week.
definitely. We'll keep talking, all right? And there's definitely more of these coming. So please stay tuned, subscribe to our not all playlist, my goodness, to our newsletter. And our door is always open through Instagram, email, etc. Just let us know. All right. Have a beautiful Monday, have a beautiful week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.